Hello, how is everyone doing? Thank you for getting this far. So remember on the previous video we just covered on how to get an LLM into a project, into the code, and have it respond back, and then this response can be passed to a user. So that user bit hasn't been covered, but that's the general thinking there. And we also have found a way to help it remember. But now the next step is how do we now get the LLM to only to conversate in a particular narrow field? And our initial idea that we were building on is creating an AI agent that is a chat travel sales agent that can answer questions related to travels and help users plan for trips and into new locations and figure out what they can do there. So the first course is a very simple case. Now, in this case, we want to really force the LLM to only be this role and nothing else. And we do that through prompt templating. And prompt templating very much stems from prompt engineering. And for many people have probably heard of this. And prompt engineering is the art of querying the LLM in such a way that it gives you more concise output and more predictable and more reliable output that the user can work with. So by for us as developers, we use prompt templating, and prompt templating basically is a pre-structured format of prompting that the LLM is given and told to behave in this kind of particular ways, so that it can also always give a predictable output, no matter. And even if you do ask it the wrong question or the right question in the wrong context, it will kind of tell you, I can't answer that question because that is not the thing I have to do. I can't do so. Let us get into that. So prompt templating, that's what it is. It helps structure the output and optimize performance. So there are a couple of ways to do prompt templating. There is context setting, there's task specification, there's formatting guidelines, and there's also error handling. Some of this will cover, some of this you might not cover, but you will have a good time with this. So just to take off this things. So first we import the packages. We import a template called a prompt template. This is probably new, but basically, so from LangChain core prompts, import a package called prompt template, and then LangChain OpenAI. That's a one we're kind of used to by now. Then we create the chat model, and then we create a prompt template. So we want to create a prompt template of a system that is uh, a, a travel agent bot. So many people from a travel agent might want to know fun activities to do in a certain location. So let's say the template can be, so think of the template as pre-written texts, and then the user just has to come in and plug the last thing they want to. So in our case, we can write here, what is the fun activities I can do in, and then I write here location. So the location is the placeholder, and all of this is the template. So basically, this is the default to what the user will be inputting. The user just has to say the location, e.g. Kenya, and then all of these things will be passed in. So the whole template will read, what is the fun activities I can do in Kenya? So let's change this. So the user input is the country exactly. So let's hear, what is the fun activities I can do in, let's say, last time we did Uganda, this time let's do Kenya. Kenya. So let's see how the prompt looks like. Okay, prompt is not defined, so we did not run this. So let us run it. Let's run the input and then let's run the prompt. So how does it read? It reads that the prompt template. So this is the prompt itself. So the prompt itself is, what is the fun activities I can do in, and then there is the partial variables. We'll kind of go over what that is, the input type, and then we'll go over that, and then there's the input variables. We'll kind of also go over that. The input variable is location. So let us continue. The message. So the message will be, I want to pass in this user prompt. So the user input into this prompt, so that's one whole concise prompt. And how do we do that? We say the prompt.format. So we don't have the service, we have location. The service was from the previous example. We have the location, and the location is equal to the user input. Now, when we execute that, we will see that the message is, what is the fun activities I can do in Kenya. I've even misspelled the word activities. Let me just double check that really quick. Now I fix that. Okay, so what is the fun activities I can do in Kenya? Then there you can, if you want, you can put in a question mark there, but there is no really big deal. And then we can pass that into the chatbot. How do we pass that in? We pass that in by invoking, just by default as usual, the usual thing we do. So we give it a moment, we let the LLM cook, we let it cook, and then once executed, it will tell you now let's put it. So remember, if you want to get the exact location, exact content, you just say response.content, and then you should get what the LLM said. So one, Safari. Kenya is known for its incredible wildlife safaris, and then probably number two, the number two somewhere. Number three, hiking and trekking. Number two is where's number two? Okay, number two is somewhere there. Oh, number two, beach activities. So that is something you can do in number two. So yes, now you can see already that now all the user has to keep changing here is maybe Somalia. Somali. Yeah, yes. Okay, let's see how it will say for Somalia. So as you can see, the response is very much the same. Everything is the same. The only thing we're changing is the user input. And then we ask Somalia. So visit the beaches of Somalia. Has beautiful beaches along its coasts and all that stuff. Explore historical sites. There's also the activities of one moment. Let's just go over it and see. Pretty long text actually. Train Somali cuisine. So there's probably a lot we can do there, and I'm pretty sure some of us didn't even know activities we could do in Somalia, and that's why we're using an LLM. It kind of knows, it has a general understanding of what much of this thing is. So now we know how to structure the input, and just all the user has to change. You just have to change a single word, and then the LLM will structure out and respond with you a whole thing. So this is one of the ways of templating, and this was using prompt templates. So let's use chat templates. And chat templates are really, really cool. Why I like chat templates is basically the chat template kind of tells the AI exactly and explicitly how to behave. It's a really amazing, amazing thing. So it can really tell the AI what to do in chat format. So basically, they can tell it to behave like this and only answer these questions, and here's the user input. All of those can still be achieved by this, but in this case, you kind of have to type in a lot, but the chat template has broken it down. The chat template has something they call the system message. This is basically message for priming the AI behavior. How do you want the AI to behave? You want it to behave. In our case, you want it to behave like an a travel agent's bot. So that's our main use case. And then you have the user template, and that's basically what the user will be telling the AI, the message the user sends to the AI. So in our case, how do we get that? We say the LangChain.prompts, and then prompt template. Then we can say message. We can say for the message. No, and then we import the system message from the LangChain core messages, and then we also import the human message template from the LangChain prompts. So the system prompt. So remember what the idea is. So uh, system message. So you tell it we're creating a system message here. So you are a helpful AI, helpful AI travel agent, travel agent AI bot, and your role role is sorry, your role is to answer any questions the user might have regarding travel traveling regarding traveling yes regarding traveling. So that's a basic user sentence, basic, very basic and simple system prompt. You can make it slightly more complicated if you want it to be slightly more general, but that's a very basic one and just enough to help us get the information. So this is how it will behave. You're a helpful assistant. You're a helpful travel agent AI bot that does that. And then the system prompt is basically what the user will do. So basically here we have a user input, and In this case, the user input is okay. So we let's leave it at blank. So or here we can say this is the user's input. Answer as best as you can. And then leave a column and then create a placeholder for the user input. And then that's a template. All of that will be passed into a chat template. Then you say here now the user input, we can say here now the first question is what are the first activities we did in Somalia. So let's ask, I am considering to have a fun day with my family at what place? At Somalia. Okay, not Somalia. Let's see what other interesting place we have at the coast of Kenya. What are the coast of Kenya? What should I consider? What should I consider as I coast of Kenya? Help me plan this. Plan this trip. What should I consider? That's probably okay. Help me plan this trip. So I'm trying to simulate exactly what a user would say. I don't think users will actually say all of these complicated sentences, but somebody might just say, I want to plan a trip with my family going to coast, and then hit enter into the LLM. So I'm trying to replicate that and see how the LLM will behave. And then that's the user input. That's the message. And then that we pass in that user input into the chat template so that the whole chat template using this format structure, the format message, which you've kind of seen at this point. And what that does, it creates a whole new message. And then this message is what we pass to the LLM using a dot invoke. And then let's see what the LLM says. And then, of course, we get the response through the content, and then we'll try to see what the LLM says. So sounds like you have sounds like a wonderful idea. To help you plan your trip the coast with your family, could you please provide more information, more details? Could you please provide me with more details? Of course, that's something a normal agent will probably do the same. He'll kind of ask you, okay, yes, what's the number of your kids? What are this? What are this? But let's see how the LLM continues. When you're planning to go on a trip, one, when you're planning to go on a trip, when are you planning to go on the trip? Two, how many days will you be spending? Three, activities do you intend to be doing while you are there? Four, very, really, really interesting, considerable stuff. So you can see it's trying to get information from the user. So if you do combine this ability to store conversations plus this ability to tell the LLM to specifically act like a sales agent, you kind of see we are getting direction into how to help a user actively uh, get and plan a really good traveling experience for their family, as the case suggests. So, what if I ask it a question that is not related to travel agency? So, what if I ask it, uh, what is the name of the, okay, no, not name, who is the, let's ask it a different, totally unrelated question. Who is the vice president of Kenya? I think I spelled president. Let me just double check that. President of Kenya. So, not to get political, this is just a question that we can give the LLM, and let's see how it will respond to this. So, remember, we want it only to behave like a useful AI agent, and only not to answer any questions outside that. So, let's see if that will execute. Current vice president is William Ruto, so we know that's wrong, but I'll tell you in a moment why that's wrong. And if you want it to behave exactly the way we want it, we can tell it. Graceful AI bot, and your role is to answer the question that might have regarding traveling. Uh, do not do not do not answer any unrelated questions. Unrelated, related questions. So we're telling it to don't answer any unrelated questions. That the question the user is asking is who's the president of Kenya. Let's see if that will give us an answer, or if it will error out. So so the LLM is saying I can only provide information and assistance related to travel. So basically, you can see it doesn't answer any unrelated questions, and this is good. So building upon the initial idea we had of keeping memory and being able to keep track of what the user is and being able to limit the user to only asking questions on a particular field, so that when you do create an AI chatbot kind of interface for any client, it's only always switched into that client's use case. Now you see how this is coming along. So I think a challenge I can give you guys, if you want to, you can try to combine the conversational bit with this bit, so that the user can keep conversating with the LLM agent, such that when it as the agent did ask the user, go ahead and give me extra details such as this, so that when the user does give back that information, the agent can now go ahead and create the actual plan, and that can come from storing information from memory. So go ahead and try that out and see how it goes. Now, the next step from that is you have done all this. What if you want the LLM to respond to you in such a manner that the output is structured and can be saved into a database, or can be passed to the user and to the client to see, and it's not necessarily in a text format, but the output has to be structured for further processing. This processing can be saving into a database, can be passing it to the front end facing client. But if we want this to happen, so that one will use output passing. That topic is called output passing, and that will be the next part of this. So let's get into that.